And now, the most reasonable talk show host from Sop Choppy to the Redneck Riviera, here is Bob Kerrigan.
And welcome to Within Reason. Well, we have a video here of a couple of people in uniform, self-evident. If you haven't seen it, you might be interested in it. We're going to roll it now. Well, that, of course, brought outrage. I think it's been viewed, the last site I looked at was over 2.4 million. For some reason, YouTube had it on the site and then took it off. I guess the government didn't want it on. And I don't understand how YouTube, independently owned and operated, could take something off of a website that is obviously of interest to people. The despicable part of that is self-evident. A harmless little dog, a puppy, that's being thrown to his death, and people are laughing about it. But I'm going to read an article here from the Asia Times. I highly recommend the Asia Times website, atimes.com. 5 years now, the bright nights of shock and awe have turned into the never-ending days of blinding sorrow and affliction. But there is one thing that even the fiercest critics of the war, of which I include myself, must now admit. The hoary show that states that Americans care little or nothing for the non-combatant casualties its armed forces are inflicting on the Iraqi civil population has been demonstrated to be decisively wrong. Recent events have proven that Americans care deeply, passionately, even to and beyond the point of breaking the laws about making direct criminal threats those Iraqis injured by American forces, as long as those injured have four legs and bark. The claim by the author in the article is that the American public is not involved in this, has no real appreciation for the magnitude of what we have done there, for the crimes that have been committed, and for the heinous things that have happened there, Abu Ghraib and others, which I think is largely true. In the book, The $3 Trillion War, which I've mentioned before in this program, among other things, the author has recommended that if you're going to engage in war, then the American public should pay. The current American public, this war has been completely financed by debt. The total cost of the war has been buried in countless other departments or budgets outside of the defense appropriations. On the 5-year invasion, 5th year anniversary of the invasion of Iraq, this is from Carl Hiaasen of the Miami Herald. President Bush declared the United States is on its way to winning the war. He made his stupefying pronouncement in the safe confines of the Pentagon, where it's unacceptable to question the commander-in-chief, no matter how dense or self-deluded he might be. True to form, the vice president repeated his dark assertion that former Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein had close ties with al-Qaeda, a claim discredited and rejected by every U.S. intelligence agency. What difference does it make? Cheney just makes it up. And they know that if he says it, they rely on the long-standing integrity of their position and the honor of their position as president and vice president. And they know that they will carry with that the ability to say something that's totally false and have it accepted by the American people. As tragic as that is, that's what they've done. And by indicating that al-Qaeda has had anything at all to do with Iraq was absurd. Our own intelligence agencies are saying this. This is not some leftist wacko thing. This is just a big lie from Cheney, and Cheney has done it over and over and over again, as has President Bush, who has repeatedly said we need to fight them there so we don't have to fight them here. Who is he talking about fighting here? This global network of terror or something? Who is the enemy he's talking about that we'll fight in Chumuckla? Where is this enemy that he's talking about, and how in the world are they going to present any kind of threat to the United States? This is an Iraqi civil war. It's been a conflict among the forces of Iraq, the three primary forces in Iraq, the Kurds, the Sunnis, and the Shias. I don't think John McCain fully understands this. I'm not acting like I do, but I don't see how that Cheney and Bush and now McCain can say the things they're saying and have no factual basis at all for saying them, and they don't pretend to have a factual basis. I mean, Cheney never says, as reported by our own intelligence agencies, or as this Iraqi study group said, or, you know, he has no authority for it. He just says it. Does anybody really understand it? Maybe. But the people who really understand it, have no incentive to do anything about it. And that is our United States Congress, particularly the United States Senate. How disappointing, how utterly disappointing that they have allowed this fiasco to go on and on and on. A video from CBS News has shown that Clinton's version of having come under sniper fire was not correct. Her campaign chalked up the discrepancy between her account and the video as a case of Clinton misspeaking. She said she's told everybody she had to duck. She was in sniper fire. There was no bullets. What kind of sniper fire is she talking about? Just made it up to make her look like she was doing something important. What is the experience Hillary Clinton keeps talking about? I can't get it. What is that experience? Last week, an important Clinton advisor told Jim Vandalay, Vandehei and Mike Allen of Politico.com that Clinton had no more than a 10% chance of getting the nomination. Now she's probably down to a 5% chance. But I think this is shaped up to be very destructive of the Democrats' chance to win. 4 weeks ago, both Obama and Hillary were double-digit points ahead of McCain. Now McCain is double-digit points ahead of both of them. It's not looking good for the Democrats at all, and we may well see John McCain win as a result of what the Clintons have done. This story of government sanctioning big business in a way that is just appalling. And this is classic Bush, classic big business, classic corporate power in this country. And that is the proposed merger of these two satellite FM stations. Sirius Satellite purchasing XM satellite radio, given an antitrust clearance on Monday as the Justice Department concluded consumers have many alternatives, including mobile phones and personal audio players. Now, isn't that absurd? These licenses were granted by the federal government to provide competition because there was no other competition. When these licenses were up for bid, people bid on them based on being in competition with the other license holder, that no one could own both licenses. And so the prices that the government got were far, far less than people would have paid for a monopoly, which is what the government is granting. So it's government mismanagement through the FCC and the Justice Department that cost money that could have been earned by an appropriate auction for one license, is a function of the company's mismanagement and abuse and overpaying for talent and everything else they've done wrong. The government is rewarding all of that by letting them consolidate and cut costs, all claiming to provide a better deal for the consumers. Preposterous on its face. If that was true, that'd be the case for all FCC licenses that were granted. They should all be allowed to combine in a way, because you'd have cost savings and this arguable, illusory benefit to the public. We'll see you next week at 7 o'clock here with Within Reason, and thanks for watching.